Well, everyone, it's time for us to go ahead and take a look at the Apple Watch Series 6 and see if this specific watch is still worth buying in 2023. Now, if you want to pick up some watches I would recommend this year, including this one, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, the very first thing I'm going to tell you is that I think, yes, this Apple Watch is completely worth buying in this day and age. It's not that old of a watch, and there are some things that may throw this watch off a little bit for some people, but I do think it's completely worth buying. It's still supported on all the watchOS versions that are coming out for the next few years probably, so you're really not going to be missing out on too much in that sense. Now, the first thing I want to say though is that with the outside, this was kind of one of the last watches from the main flagship, the Series X instead of the SEs, that kind of had this older type of styling. Now when I say older, it's not even that old, but from this generation, this was the last one to actually have the 40 or 44 millimeter sizes. After this Apple Watch with the Series 7 and Series 8 and probably the future ones, they started to go up to the 41 and 45 millimeter sizes, and those ones actually have substantially less bezel on them than these ones. So if you remember with the Series 4, that one had substantially less bezel than the Series 3, and now with the Series 7, that does have less bezel than the Series 6. So if you're one of those people who, when you look at your watch or you look at somebody else's watch and you get jealous of them, you may want to go for the more expensive one because it's going to make you feel better, meaning you want to go for the Series 7 or Plus. And the Series 7s aren't too expensive anymore, so that might make more sense. But do keep in mind these ones do have a little bit more bezel on them. So on the front, you could either choose from that 40 or 44 millimeter sizes, and they look pretty good. There really wasn't too much to complain about. I'm sure everyone knows how an Apple Watch kind of performs nowadays, but when I looked at these Apple Watches at that time, they were pretty good. I owned a Series 3 when this Apple Watch came out, a few years ago, but I still think this watch held up very, very well when it first came out. And even now, like I said before, there's not really too much to complain about, and I think it's definitely still built very, very well. On the sides, you had these two buttons, the digital crown and that side button as well, which you could power on the Apple Watch with, you can power down the Apple Watch with, you can scroll through so many things with the digital crown. It's super nice. I like that technology a lot. I do it all the time on my Apple Watch. If I'm just kind of idling, I just kind of sort of wind it up and down. So it's just kind of a random thing, little quirky thing about it. Now on the back of the Apple Watch, we do have the standard charger. Now I've mentioned this for many years, but I love the fact that these watches all use the same chargers. If you buy the first original Apple Watch, the Apple Watch Series 0, and you go up to the Series 8, they all use the same Apple Watch charger still. I feel like Apple's going to do something weird where they change it eventually, but so far so good, and they've all been working very well. So I actually am a humongous fan of that. You also have pretty much nothing on the sides except for the microphones, and that is kind of it for the Apple Watch itself. But you also have the bands that you can choose. So this is also another one of my favorite things about these Apple Watches. From the first Apple Watch to the most expensive Apple Watch Ultra right now, all the bands will work on all of them. Now you have to make sure you get the right size. So if you get the smaller 40, 38 millimeter, 41 millimeter sizes, those bands will all work on those ones. If you get the more expensive, the bigger ones, then those bands will work on those. So you cannot interchange the bigger 45 millimeter band with the 41 millimeter band, so keep that in mind. But all the smaller ones, the same size correspondence with them, they will all work. So that is a really cool thing. I know a lot of people, personally I don't do this, but I know a lot of people who wear different bands if they're working out, or if they're going running, or if they're going to like an event, they will switch their bands out. I'm not really one of those types of people, so I will keep the same band on for years until it breaks, and then I will go switch to another one. And that just kind of works for me. So if that works for you, you can do the exact same thing. And there are so many bands out there that you can choose from. And that has always been one of my favorite things about these Apple Watches as well. So in terms of that kind of covers it up in that standpoint as well. It still gets a thumbs up for me for sure. Now booting this thing up, we do have the latest version of watchOS on it right now. So there's not really too much to kind of complain about in the software and the longevity portion, because this thing is still going to be supported for many, many more years. The Series 4 is still supported, the Series 5 is still supported, and the Series 6 is still supported too. So this thing is not going anywhere. And to be honest, to make you feel better, I'm still using an Apple Watch Series 4 as my main Apple Watch. I probably will upgrade either later this year or next year, but I've been using this Apple Watch for I think almost 2 years now. Maybe it's been 1.5 to 2 years, and it has been a wonderful experience. I don't complain about the speed of my Series 4, and this is 2 generations older than the Series 6. This one had that S4 chip, the Series 6 has that S6 chip. So this is a substantially faster watch than the one I'm currently using. And if this one is still good enough for me, I'm pretty sure this one is still going to be way more, just way faster than you would ever need. So I think that is one of the things to keep in mind. Again, it's not like the biggest deal breaker in the world, but it's one of the things that I tend to think about. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. Now there are some cool features within this watch as well. You have that blood oxygen sensor that came with this specific watch, and you have that ECG application as well. So if you ever wanted to go ahead and take an ECG on your Apple Watch, well, you have that capability here, which is really cool. Some of the things that I typically use on my Apple Watch is more basic stuff. The big thing is checking notifications and whatnot. If I want to respond to a text message, most of the time if I want to see who's calling me, I can check it on my watch without having to be on my phone. Recently, I would say in the last year to year and a half, I've been running a lot more. So because of that, I used to strength train, but now I do a lot more running. And with my Apple Watch, I'm actually able to, basically monitor and see all my steps, all my running, all everything. And it keeps me motivated. Like if it wasn't for my Apple Watch, I probably wouldn't go running every day. I'd probably just go every other day or something. But it's really nice to be able to see all the steps and everything I'm taking. I know you can do that on your iPhone automatically anyway, but it is a really nice thing to have. And if you currently don't own an Apple Watch, you're kind of missing out on a lot. Like I actually do think it is if you're going to do one thing, like own a phone and own AirPods and all these other things, I think an Apple Watch is like a must-have, especially if you have an iPhone. But if you have a Samsung, you should get a Galaxy Watch too, like basically to do the same thing. You also have water resistance on this Apple Watch, and those are basically the main things that I do on my watch now. But I have tried before running with my Apple Watch with my headphones basically being wirelessly connected to my Apple Watch as well. So I'd have my AirPods Max or my, AirPods connected in my ear, and I would go running and I wouldn't take my phone with me. And those types of situations work really, really well if you're okay with running with headphones on. With me personally, I have to have AirPods Maxes, and they're just too uncomfortable. And with standard headphones, they just come out of my ear. I've now switched over to Beats, and I think they work pretty well, but I just got bored with them, so now I don't even use them anymore. But if you're somebody who works like that really well, you may like not bringing your phone with you and only pretty much bringing your Apple Watch and kind of going from there. So those are basically the main things about the Apple Watch Series 6. The big takeaways is this thing is still supported. It's gone down in the used market a lot, and it's much cheaper now. And it's still a very good Apple Watch. And to kind of sum up this video, that's exactly what I would say. I mean, this Apple Watch is still completely worth buying. I would not look at this watch and think that it's like outdated or slow or anything like that. It is still a very fast watch for sure, and you cannot go wrong with it. Now, would it be the first watch I would recommend buying? Probably, to be honest. Like, there's really not a lot of other watches that I would look at and be like, oh, like, don't buy it because it's so outdated or it's so slow. Like, this is still a very, very good Apple Watch for sure, and you can't go wrong with it. Now, if you have the ability to, like I've said before, go for the Series 7, go for the Series 8. But otherwise, I think the Series 6 is still completely worth buying. And like I said before, I honestly don't think you can go wrong with it at all. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.